My sisters and brothers, the Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. A man named John was sent from God. He came for testimony, to testify to the light, so that all might believe through him. He was not the light, but came to testify to the light. And this is the testimony of John. When the Jews from Jerusalem sent priests and Levites to him to ask him, "Who are you?" he admitted and did not deny it, but admitted, "I am not the Christ." So they asked him, "What are you then? Are you Elijah?" He said, "I am not." "Are you the prophet?" He answered, "No." So they said to him, "Who are you? So we can give an answer to those who sent us. What do you have to say for yourself?" He said, "I am the voice of one crying out in the desert, 'Make straight the way of the Lord,' as Isaiah the prophet said." Some Pharisees were also sent. They asked him, "Why then do you baptize if you are not the Christ, or Elijah, or the prophet?" John answered them, "I baptize with water, but there is one among you whom you do not recognize, the one who is coming after me, whose sandal strap I am not worthy to untie." This happened in Bethany, across the Jordan, where John was baptizing. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
During Sunday school, the young children were doing drawings of different biblical scenes that the teacher had talked to them about. And as the teacher walked by, she couldn't help but notice one little boy. Are you kidding me? It's this microphone. She couldn't help but notice one little boy who was drawing an airplane. And she stopped and said, "What scene exactly are you depicting?" And the little boy said, "Well, teacher, it's the flight of the Holy Family to Egypt." And she said, "Really?" And he said, "Yes, teacher, look. Here is Mary, here's Joseph, and there's baby Jesus." And the teacher said, "Very interesting, Johnny." It's always Johnny. And the little Johnny said, "And teacher, look who's in the front of the plane. It's Pontius, the pilot." Okay, Go ahead, Father, critique it.
You need the joke book. You really need a new joke book.
He keeps promising me. I'm assuming it'll be a Christmas present.
It's coming.
So is Christmas. So here we are, gathered here on the third Sunday of Advent. And as Father introduced Mass, we know this also as referred to as Gaudete Sunday. Gaudete in Latin means rejoice. And as Father appropriately pointed out, while we may be tempted to rejoice about the Bills' victory, we have many other reasons today to be filled with joy. My friends, Advent is a unique liturgical season in our church. It's a time that the church sets aside for us to prepare for that beautiful celebration of the historic event of Jesus' birth some 2,000 years ago. But that's not the only thing that Advent's about. Advent is also the opportunity for all of us to reflect on something that perhaps we might find uncomfortable, but something that is inevitable in every one of our lives. And that is the day when we meet our final judgment, the day that we leave this earth and pass to eternal life, our final coming. That is what we are asked to reflect on. And not only are we asked to reflect on that, but we're asked to look at how are we preparing ourselves? How are we making sure that we are prepared to meet our God? My friends, Advent comes at a time where we're called to be reflective, introspective, to examine our relationship with God, to look at where our faith journey is. And I can't think of a worse time, for me at least, to try and be that meditative, reflective, introspective person. Because I don't know about all of you, but this is probably one of the busiest times of my life. So I think it's somewhat ironic that the church finds itself competing with the secular world in trying to get our attention. I have to admit that I'm old enough to vividly remember when Advent and Christmas was considered a holy day, a holy period, a time for us to celebrate our faith. This predated the times where the week before Halloween, Christmas decorations were already being put out. This certainly predated Black Fridays. Believe it or not, at those days, the word Merry Christmas, Blessed Advent, were on the lips of everyone. The idea of showing manger scenes didn't run into lawsuits. Our opportunity to live our Christian faith on our sleeves by openly celebrating Christmas was something that we all did. I remember many Christmas days that the only thing open in the town that I grew up in was the church. God forbid you had to look for a loaf of bread or a container of milk on Christmas Day. Those opportunities didn't exist. And look at where we are today. We take the Advent season, we take that period between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and we pin our entire economic hopes that we'll have a successful Black Friday and Christmas selling season, and that'll set the tempo for the economy. Amazing, isn't it? My friends, so it's in that environment that we're challenged to take that time out from our busy schedules and to be that reflective, introspective, meditative groups of Catholic Christians and look at where we are on our faith journey. So I ask you today, where are all of you on your journey to that inevitable event that we'll all face? The day we take our last breath and meet our God. We're just slightly beyond the halfway point of Advent. And if you're like me and you've been very distracted by everything else going on in my world, it's not too late. You still have time to set aside some of that busyness and to really focus on where you are in your relationship with God. We have a beautiful adoration chapel. Do you think you could spare 1 hour over the next weeks and to go in there and sit in silence in front of the Blessed Sacrament and talk to our God? And equally important, listen to how he's speaking to you, where he's calling you to be. Perhaps, rather than just use Sunday as your day of holy obligation, you might have the time to come to Mass a couple of other times during the week and to use that time to strengthen your relationship with God. How about reading the Scriptures? Now is a great time to pick up the Bible and look at the various Gospels. Read the Nativity Scriptures. Familiarize yourself with what will occur on Christmas Day. Maybe there's someone in your life that, you just don't really particularly like. Maybe you're being challenged to go out of your way to embrace that person, whether it's friend, coworker, or yes, even your family member. My brothers and sisters, this is our time to say to the world, we celebrate our Christian faith. And rather than caught up in that secular rat race, to really focus on where we are, so that when Christmas comes and we celebrate that beautiful mystery of the Incarnation, we will celebrate it with our hearts filled with joy, knowing that our relationship with God is stronger than ever before. May you continue to have a blessed Advent, and God bless you.